I think in a situation like that, Chicago did things that they should have done for Justin Fields. And I think they put him in a situation where they were thinking they were going to rebuild.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with us today on this Top Shelf Tuesday edition, Captain for Life and guest speaker extraordinaire, Will Cotton. Will, how you doing, man? And thanks for joining us.
I'm doing great, doing great. Madness in the middle of it. I love it. Things going on, but I think we're talking about NFL. So,
Yes, we are. So in segment one, we're going to give advice to NFC teams as we get ready for the draft and free agency kind of slowing down a little bit. Segment two, we're going to do the same for AFC teams. And in segment three, we're going to talk about some rule changes and when it's just time to go as Aaron Donald says goodbye to the NFL. But first, fans, we are 4 weeks away from the NFL draft. Teams are kind of resetting, Will, after the initial free agency rush. And this week we get to give advice to teams. We're going to pick a team in each division and kind of give them free advice. And for me personally, it's a little early preparation for things strictly for entertainment purposes only. So we're going to start with the NFC North. Will, which of the four NFC North teams would you like to give some words of wisdom to?
man, I would love to give obviously Chicago Bears.
All right, you
Um,
got the Bears.
yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of things going on, especially with the quarterback with Justin Fields and Caleb Williams. And everyone is looking at how like, oh well, this is about Justin Fields. How are we getting rid of him? And I bet pretty much they traded him with the Steelers, so they already pretty much said we're going to go with Caleb Williams. I think that's honorable. I think a lot of people are like, well, why? And or this is bad. Are you not letting them compete? I think in a situation like that, Chicago did things that they should have done for Justin Fields. And I think they put him in a situation where they were thinking they were going to rebuild. Because remember, they got rid of a ton of guys. I think it was like Roquan Smith, and there was a couple other players that were really in their prime, and they let them go. And those were like key players. And then they started winning. And then, that kind of end of the year kind of winning where you win like 3-4 years 3-4 games. And then you come in the new season, you're like, oh man, well, they were 4 out of the last 5 and the last 9 or whatever like that. It's good to see that they're at least putting the pieces around for Caleb Williams to be successful. And they're saying, now we're going to try and win, and then try to really understand what they're doing with Justin Fields. And I commend them for actually sending Justin Fields to a good organization. I'm sure they could have sent him to a terrible team and just say, good luck, sir, and we'll take our pick. But, they did a lot of things well, and they didn't have to, and they kind of took care of Justin Fields at the same time. So that's one thing I feel about them. And just kind of stick with your plan, dude. I think, you're just antsy. I think they have a good team, mix of veterans and new players. So we'll see what happens.
All right, I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers. You've got Jordan Love. And fans of the show know I followed Green Bay strictly for entertainment purposes only. Now you got a good ball carrier in Jacobs. And if you can get him a couple of weapons and draft a couple of linemen to protect him, because you can't throw in your back, you're going to have something in Green Bay. So that's my advice. Get a few more weapons and focus on the offensive line. And I think you've got a chance to win a division because it's going to be hard for Detroit to do that thing again. All right. Will, you got the NFC South. What direction are you going in, sir?
I'm going to go with Atlanta. I'm going to Atlanta. I think they jumped on the gun. I think they overpaid Kirk Cousins. Now that's not a problem in any way that's a Falcon problem. That's not a player problem. But it's good to see that there are teams in the NFC South who see there's an opportunity to really hold on to this division. I mean, Tampa, the last, I guess, 5 years has been that team. And I think Atlanta knows that the Carolina is not there yet. Like the infrastructure is not really there to take over. I think New Orleans is, I mean, they're handing on, they're holding on by like a thread. If your options are Derek Carr and um, although I forgot the dude who plays tight end and quarterback, that's not good for you, man. So I think they're really loading up because they really say the opportunity the next 2 to 3 years before they have to start paying people that they can actually make a good little run to making the playoffs. And that can build the momentum for the organization moving forward, especially if they pick another quarterback in the next couple, 2, 3 years. So I think they're going to be a very interesting team this year.
All right, so I'm going to take Carolina. Bryce Young had possibly one of the worst rookie seasons in the history of this great sport. So Carolina, Dave Canales, get that boy some offensive linemen and get him somebody to throw to. And I think he's going to have an incredible bounce back season. Has a lot of noise that he got a hold of, and a lot of the kid in Houston totally outplayed him. So look for Carolina to just get some linemen and see if this kid can actually play. All right, Will, we're in the NFC East. What you got, sir?
Oh man, I'm gonna go with the Eagles, man. Eagles. Yeah. So the Eagles, they're an interesting team. Uh, they had a end of the season that was not very very well for them. They actually lost like 7 out of 9 or something bad, like something awful. And there was a lot of mentioning of leadership in the locker room. They added a ton of guys. Saquon Barkley, obviously, that's more notable. But you lost a lot of leaders. Jason Kelsey is apparently leaving. Fletcher Cox. I mean, those are two big voices in the locker room, and you lacked leadership. So I just wonder who's really gonna fill that void. It could be Saquon. Is he the big money running back? Is it going to be Jalen Hurts? They have the skill to win, but do they have the leadership to push through the adversity to get through the season? So I think that's the biggest interesting about the team.
All right, so I'm going to pick Washington. The Washington Commanders can win the division. They can win the NFC East. Dan Quinn, keep getting talent and spread it across. So when you draft, you're drafting the best available player because you have a new owner. He's underperformed. So it's not like, you've done anything, but you've got the ability and the cap room to literally remake the division because Dallas didn't do anything. Philly's arguing, and the Giants are going to do giant type things. So, Washington, you can win the division and get in the postseason in 1 year. And Dan Quinn, coach of the year. So that's what you can do, man. You can actually win this thing. So go on and get that thing, as I told Tay Hill. Finally, in this segment, NFC West, Will, who are you giving advice to?
Man, San Francisco. I thought we got another guy, but I'll go ahead and take care of the Niners, man. Get over the hangover. Get over the hangover because you don't want to be the Philadelphia Eagles of last year. Made into the Super Bowl, had an amazing run, and all of a sudden they fell apart at the end. And then the following year, then they were just mediocre towards the season and then fell apart. Just ran out of gas. San Fran, focus with the same focus and energy this season. Don't think about the energy. Don't think about the loss. Take it like business. Don't take it personal because it'll leave you a lot. It'll kill you. You won't be able to function. You'll have anxiety, things that you can't really see right now. Focus the season that it's a new season, brand new season. Try and dominate and move forward. Get away the anxiety. Forget over the hangover. Forget over the feeling of losing last year. That's last year. I think they can have a great. I mean, they haven't lost anybody. Ayuk. I think they were still kind of trying to figure out what's going to happen to him. But I think they have another chance. Just forget what happened last year and go into the new season strong and focus.
All right. I'm going to pick Seattle. And the movie was called Sleepless in Seattle. I'm going to call it Sneaky in Seattle. You've got your quarterback in Geno Smith, and you have a nice, cheap backup in Sam Howell, and that kid can play. So you've settled that. You already said Gino's your starter. So now Mike McDonald, get some talent around. Don't worry about San Francisco. They'll win the division. Worry about getting one of those wild card spots because the Rams are in shambles and Arizona is going to do Arizona type things. And if you can keep acquiring talent, you will have a shot at the wild card. And then once you're in the postseason, everybody's 0-0. So with that, when we get back, we're going to do the same thing with the AFC. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Fowler Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast in segment 2. Cotton Man, let's give advice starting with the AFC North. Who are you taking, sir?
Let me go with Pittsburgh.
All right.
I think they have the greatest situation. I mean, the upgrade. Now, this is obviously just theory. There's no actual see that this is going to happen. But they have a capable quarterback for the first time in maybe 2 years to kind of maximize all the skills players that they've actually have on the team. So I think this is a good opportunity for them to actually, get back into the playoffs. Again, they weren't awful last year. They just missed the playoffs and they didn't have a good quarterback. So I think they also have an interesting kind of play that they can actually use is that they have Justin Fields, and you have a quarterback for the next foreseeably 2-4 years that you don't have to worry about, and you can groom him and turn the kind of quarterback that you want. It's kind of a good situation. I mean, it's all hold together if Russell Wilson can have a good season and be healthy. And they don't just rush Justin Fields into the spotlight. So I think they put a really big attempt to win this division. But to be honest with you, I don't think it'll be enough. I think it's past their time, man. I think it's still the Bengals are still the Ravens for sure.
All right, and I'm going to take the Ravens and push all of the chips to the middle. Derrick Henry's there, run the ball. My brother says Lamar Jackson is the greatest option wishbone quarterback ever. You don't have to prove you can pass. Just control the clock, control the tempo, minimize the hits. You lost a couple of starters on defense and on the offensive line. So make sure you address these items in the draft and in free agency and go win the whole blasted thing. So we're going to move to the AFC South. Take your pick on this one because it's not very good.
It's not. But I'm going to go stick with Houston, man. I like what they're building. I like that they actually have very confident quarterback who can go in. And I guess it appears that the coach is going to be head tied. So either they, sink or swim on those two. So, and the thing they keep around them, just, evolve the offense. It can't be the same reads. It can't be the same plays next year. You have to kind of change that, and that'll see how CJ Stroud is actually, built. It's easy when you can surprise people, But if they can see you coming, it's a different kind of change that you can do in the game. So I think we'll see. We'll see what's going on in the draft, how they keep moving. They have a great offensive line. They have a great young core in the wide receiver room. I think they're going to be good. They're going to be interesting. Let's see if they can repeat and if they can win the division with that. Well, we're not the worst team in the league. The chip on the shoulder kind of thing. Again, you can't play it to win the whole season. You have to actually be good. So let's get it.
All right. I'm going to pick the Indianapolis Colts, and I'm going to tell the Colts right now, you can win the division. You have Anthony Richardson, and you brought an old head to sit next to him in Joe Flacco. So your quarterback room is solid. You also locked up Michael Pittman Jr. So let's go get this thing, Indy. This division is yours for the taking. Go handle your business. So now, speaking of handling business, we're going to go to the AFC East. Will, take your pick. You've got it.
Oh man, I guess you would have to. I'm gonna go with the Jets. The Jets. They're ramping up. They're going on the old part two. Let's get it going. Again, I think they can win the division. Right there, I think Buffalo is obviously taking a step back with removing a lot of defensive players, so they're going to be like a shootout kind of team. I guess we're just going to outscore people. New England is not even nobody thinking about them. And Miami can only play when it's warm outside. So once playoff time gets everybody, they're done. But I think the Jets, I think they're also going to have a little edge on them. They knew last year they were supposed to be good, and some unfortunate things happened with Rodgers. And I think they are still having that still like, man, okay, like wait till we come back. Wait till we come back. But I think they're going to see that Aaron Rodgers is not the way it is, and it's not his legs. I think he's going to have I think he's have an old arm, just lazy passes, interceptions. But we'll see if they can battle through the season. That makes a playoff team. So they're very interesting, and we'll see if Robert Saleh can keep his job because it's starting to get a little murky now in New Jersey.
All right. I'm picking the New England Patriots, and this is just for you, Jared Mayo. Just win 5. I don't care how you get to 5. Just win 5 because last year you won 4. So get yourself a good quarterback in the draft. Probably that kid from Michigan will probably fit for you. I think you brought back Jacoby. All right. So that's good. All right. So you can do that. Get yourself some solid guys because Miami's better than you. Jets should be better than you, and Buffalo still fight each other. So again, I don't know what the over-under is, but if it's anything close to 5, I'm taking the Patriots. So again, Coach Mayo, just win 5. Will, we're going to the AFC West. What direction are you going in, sir?
I could get the softball and take KC, but I'm gonna jump on the Chargers, man. The Chargers are an interesting team. They kind of getting next to the new evolution or the new iteration, I should say, of the Chargers. No Austin Eckler, no Keenan Allen, no Mike Williams. How do you replace that talent? How do you replace those touches? There's going to be a lot of them. There's a lot of young talent for sure. I think Jordan Palmer is one of those guys that's pretty good. And there's a couple other guys I'm not familiar with, but we'll see. We'll see. And maybe some of the noise in the wide receiver room can make Justin Herbert play better. Some people just let you not say, hey, I'm open. Throw me the ball. Why don't you throw me the ball, man? Come on, throw me the ball. I'm open. And you're constantly having to cater to these people because they want contracts, they want bonuses, they want, playing time, touchdowns, Pro Bowls, things like that. So I think hopefully removing those loud voices, the Ecklers, the Keenan Allen, the Mike Williams, obviously with health. Now Herbert can be the loudest voice in the huddle, and that'll allow them play a lot better. We'll see, but there's a lot riding on Jim Harbaugh because he got paid a ton of money, and it's always get the bag, but it's again, it's about wins, coach.
Oh, indeed. And speaking of winning, this message is for the Kansas City Chiefs. You have an opportunity in front of you to do something no one has ever done before, and that's be the 3-time Super Bowl champions. You got Hollywood Brown, so you got somebody that hopefully can catch a pass. You got a punter, so hopefully you can get your defense some good field position. You got a tight end, and more importantly, I hope Patrick Mahomes has the motivation to want to go for 3. So again, you have it in front of you. History is here. Brady never did 3 in a row. So if you want these GOAT conversations and all of this history and pageantry, go get 3. Go get that thing. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some rule changes as well as when is it a good time to say goodbye. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast.
The CKA SAVE Project is an industry leader in advocating for student-athlete, academic, and athletic needs. Through academic and athletic enrichment, the CKA SAVE Project is on the forefront of the issues facing 21st century student-athletes. As student-athletes continue to struggle to find a better balance between academic and athletic success, the CKA SAVE Project offers academic and athletic services to support student-athlete academic success, including academic skills assessment, academic and athletic consulting, academic monitoring, academic and athletic workshops. For more information or to schedule a free consultation, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 3. We've got some rule changes that I just kind of want to get Joe the fan to use John Thompson's thoughts on it. So, Will, NFL officials responded last week to protest over a proposal to outlaw a version of what is called the hip drop tackle. I wish the kid was here, which is a technique the league has said resulted in a higher injury rate. The NFLPA joined many current and former players in objecting to this proposal this week. My question is, Will, all of these things sound good in the offseason, but when they're starting to hit folks and training camp, you're not hitting as much as you used to, you're really not doing the reps for obvious reasons. How do you feel about them making these types of changes in the offseason?
I think they are financially kind of motivated. I think if you look at it, one, we have to look at that. I can't believe I lost my thought. But let's think about this. One, now we're actually having people to not get hurt, getting tackled, the hip drag kind of tackle thing anymore. That's to sustain the more games that you're going to play. More players can play. You also have you're paying a lot of money now for backups. There was I think Sam Howell made some money, or there's a couple of people in backups that made like $7 million. So they're kind of looking at a Band-Aid on the crack kind of thing. So we had to get these guys to potentially get to 18 games. Is that maybe that is the
Why don't they just expand the roster? Because they're doing a lot of stuff. It's not like you don't have the money. And if you're trying to go 17, 18 games, then expand the roster and not make these Band-Aid type decisions, or is that too practical?
Yeah, because sometimes you don't want to add more assets. At the end of the day, you those are assets. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you can't manage the ones that you have. So the idea that you're gonna maybe I need more assets, a lot of people are like, well, I can't handle what I got. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times they try to make it the cheap way, not the cheap way, but there's different mitigation tactics that you can go to try and fulfill what you're trying to do as an organization.
Okay, so if you want to be cheap, just make the practice squad bigger then. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, they should. But they think that, hey, let's remove even with the what's it called? The brotherly shove. I like that name. I don't like the tush push. I like the brotherly shove. That's my favorite one. They were trying to get rid of that one. And they were like, oh, well, people are banging into each other and there's a higher probability of getting hurt and stuff. And the old, putter, power puff kind of, ain't nobody getting hurt. But it sounds good. It sounds good, coach. It sounds good because if your players are saying, "Hey, we're getting hurt. We're getting, this is a big." It's not like the concussion thing. Players in the players in the actual NFL aren't complaining about concussion. They're not like, "Oh, well, we need to change this, change that," and they're complaining that we can't even hit. So they don't agree with that. But this rule, are the players are like, "Hey, yo, I don't want this no more. Like I'm getting my legs are torn out of me. These are how it works." So I think it was a lot of motivation that pushed for the players and the better players, and then they saw the better players getting hurt like that. The NFL got very. I think they panicked and they were like, "Okay, now we're doing nobody." Like a parent when things get crazy, like, "Oh, nobody getting nothing. Nobody, no nothing. Y'all can't agree nothing. Then nothing." So a little rash, but
All
let's
right.
hope it
So,
works. It's practical. Is it? I don't even know if it is in a practical kind of thing. Don't grab them.
all right. So they're also changing kickoffs so they can have that be a more exciting play. So we will see if that change takes place. But I want to talk about Aaron Donald. One of my favorite players of all time is Barry Sanders. And Barry Sanders walked away from the NFL when he had, in theory, a lot of football left. Aaron Donald just did the same thing. He retired at the age of 30, but this guy's played 10 seasons. So, any thoughts about Aaron Donald retiring at 30? He kind of says, "I'm complete, I'm full." And bless his heart, man. Maybe he is. What do you think?
First of all, he's one of the best interior linemen to ever play the game. Um, and for him to go out on top, I believe he was all pro this year as well. Going on
Yes.
top, I mean, that's what you want to do. He has his Super Bowl that he needed. It's unfortunate that he didn't win the Super Bowl this year and end it off. But I think he needed that 10th year to get that veteran check, where he gets that little money and where he's good. But he's good anyway. I mean, the money's paid. But I think what he's done now is he's going to have a lot of questions now when you have players. You've achieved so much at a little span of time. When is the time to walk away? I don't think that's more so with like a Patrick Mahomes because the rules are different for quarterbacks. But like Kelsey, I mean, how much longer are you going to hang around? You got a Super Bowl. You're arguably the best tight end ever. And you probably have one of the best 6, 7, 8 spans comparable to Gronk. And again, it's now you have 70, 80 million, $90 million. It changes. I don't have to play. I don't, I'm getting endorsements, man. And it's just different now. So it's setting a good standard. Like, you don't have to play until you're punch drunk or you can't walk no more, or because think about it, all the guys look like Brett Favre, the Iron Man. That man can't even get out of the bed in the morning without that golden sock that he got to put on the joint. All these guys are there, I think it hits these guys, when they come back in these Hall of Fame, bring them on the field, and the guys are shoveling over here and they're pushing over there in a wheelchair, and God forbid the guys who pass away, whatever CTE or depression and things like that. I mean, to walk away like that comfortably, I mean, that's the ideal that people should look for, and they should get away of this notion of the thing that Tom Brady and are you going to play for 20 years or how long do you going to play? And I think that's not normal. That's not the standard. I think the standard is when you're done with the sport, you should be done with the sport more than the sport being done with you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that's good for him. So that's what they got to say about it.
I really like the fact that he can call his own shot. And that's a little personal for me as I enter year 30. Can't believe he is as old as my teaching career. This is crazy. But kudos to him for being able to call his shot because as Belichick, as a coach, used to do in New England that he didn't do in his own time, rather leave a year early than a year late. So with that, on behalf of our captain for life, Will Cotton, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Eye Coaches podcast. And we'll see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.